Hi, this is Steve Giordano doing my 5th video entitled Quality Practicing Jazz. It's about practice. This is for Mike's Master Classes, and this one is going to be kind of a smorgasbord, bunch of tips, and because I could make a video out of each one of these subjects will come up. Artists always struggle with how to grow in music and how to put their time, quality time. You want to do things that are going to help what you want. This one's geared to jazz players, and I've been teaching for many years, and over the years there's a lot of common questions. So I'm going to start this video by talking about the questions that mostly come up as far as from students about how to practice. What should they spend their time with? You know, what's the most value? I'm just going to touch on the frequently asked questions in the beginning, and this first one is, how can I obtain better ears? Of course, that's a big one. Always musicians want to develop their ears. And I'm going to touch on all these in detail during this video. Question number 2, how can I get better time? So we're going to talk about that. I have some ideas how to work on those concepts. Because getting good time and having good time is very important, especially when you play with other musicians. It doesn't matter what instrument you play, but time is definitely important. The third one is, it's called, the question is, my solos suck. How can I play better solos? I mean, that's a real big question because, you know, it's a lifetime of work, how to play better solos. And how do you practice getting better solos? Well, I have a lot of thought into these areas, and I'm going to touch on that. Okay, let's get started with Chapter 1, how to obtain better ears. This is a question that comes up quite often through the years with musicians. I don't have a good ear, or I need to work on my ears. What is that? What does that mean? And we've all had solfege, or most of us. Perfect 5th, perfect 4th, major 3rd. You know, the diatonic intervals, we've all kind of learned how to do that. I hope we have. That's just a very, very, very beginning, you know. I mean, as jazz players, we need more than that. We don't just assume everything is coming from do. In the real jazz world, there's all kinds of intervals that are moving around, and there's all kinds of harmonic colors that are disguising. For instance, a perfect 5th could be singing C. Now watch. I sang the same interval, but they had 2 different colors. I mean, that's very different than Welcome to Chapter 2, entitled, How Can I Get Better Time? Time is an issue that comes up with all musicians. It's always something that can be an issue. I mean, I'm going to give you some tips about it and how to strengthen your time. First of all, let me start off by saying a couple things. I believe that time has to be internal, coming from you. You create the time, or you play off the time that comes from internal, not from a mechanism like a metronome, or to rely on, other mechanical devices, drum machines, or whatever. I mean, sometimes in certain contexts you might have to use those, but they're never fun to play with, really, because they're restrictive. There's no give. And okay, welcome to Chapter 3. This one's kind of a complex one, but again, I'm going to just give tips and some small examples and perhaps say some things that'll help you. And of course, this chapter is called soloing. You often hear musicians say, my solos suck. How do I get, better solos? I mean, that's sort of that's the official title of this chapter, but that's the whole goal of a jazz musician, to solo and to be able to keep growing and not be a bunch of licks. Most of the studies with jazz instruments include and incorporate a lot of scale work, a lot of technical arpeggios and scales, and just a lot of practicing of lines of all kinds. And although that I think there's definitely some value to that, I think that the emphasis is too much on that and not enough on some other things that have to do with ears and interaction and maybe the goal of a solo. You have in this case, if you put an F13 flat 9, which would, the common voicing would be this one. But if you do it up here, you can get the same voicing of this right here. Now there's no root in here, but you don't always have to have root in the chord if it's implied. So again, that's a good sound. Now this major chord in here, major triad, is a D major. Instead of doing this, there's another route you can take where this, just think about voice leading, where this one, this is the note that we're questioning here, that we're looking at on top. It's going down to a D. Now if this note, if you want to try another direction, literally, you could make this note go up a half step, and then that would become this. That might sound harsh. I actually like that sound. This becomes an E triad over B flat. Now that's still part of the B flat dominant family, because if you look at it from the reference point of a B flat dominant, the E is the flat 5.